Hello, sunshine, and welcome back to the Gold Biz podcast with me, your host, Rachel Traxler. Today I have like a fun, different little episode. It's more of like a conversational. What I did is I asked on my Instagram a question poll, and I had you guys submit and just answer the question of what is your favorite thing about being a photographer? And I figured I would read through these messages and stuff. And I want to do this episode because sometimes I feel like we get so caught up in like the booking, the marketing, the lead generation, the inquiries, and all of that. And I do feel like we kind of forget about the why and like the reasoning and like the root, I don't know, meaning of why we started our businesses. And I also do feel like the wedding industry as a whole, it's very, I don't know, I feel like it's trendy, it's common. I see a lot of this to talk about like hot takes and the negative side and the parts we don't like, and it's fun to pick part of that, you know, every once in a while. I think that's fun and okay, but I feel like we as an industry, wedding industry, we do it so much more than any other industry that I see, that it's like I just feel like there's so much bashing and negativity going on in the industry that, again, it's okay. It has its time and place, but I really want to bring like light and positivity and like fun things like back into the conversation and into the industry here. So I wanted to just ask you guys what your favorite thing about being a photographer was, so that we can kind of get back to that. But before we dive into all of that, I had a really fun styled shoot this past week that I got to shoot at a local venue here in Wisconsin. They set up the entire shoot. It was their mood, their vision board, and obviously I was very aligned with it. I had a little bit of a say in terms of style, but it was really nice to kind of just show up and shoot. Like I didn't have to, hosting my retreats and stuff. I plan all of those shoots and all the logistics and vendor communication and all of that stuff. It was really fun to kind of just show up and shoot at this one, and it went really good and really fun. And just a realization that I had when I was doing that shoot is just how important it is to just have something that's creative, and it had a little bit of a pressure, but also like no pressure. I could just kind of create with it and collaborate with other vendors. And I actually met a wedding planner that I've really been meaning to connect with and network with, and she was there doing content creation, so it was really fun. Spoiler alert, I'm going to have her on the podcast. I've had her be requested as a guest on the podcast, so I was like wanting to reach out to her, and she was there, and I met her, and so she's coming on the podcast soon. And then I also met a content creator there, which was really cool because I actually haven't gotten connected with. I have a lot of vendor connections in the industry, but I don't have a content creator connection yet. So it was really fun to meet with her, because now we're going to like refer clients to each other and hopefully work together in the future again. So I'm excited for that connection. So I also wanted to do this shoot, and I agreed to doing this shoot because I also wanted to just show my students in my coaching program and the photographers in my coaching program, hey, like this is what can happen when you do a styled shoot with a vendor, when you connect and plan marketing with other vendors and collaborate. And these are the opportunities that can come from it, because I think it's so, so important and such a slept on thing that a lot of people don't do, because it does take a lot of time and effort and energy to do. So I get where we kind of fall back and just in our comfortable digital space. That's normal, I feel. So I thoroughly enjoy doing that, and I'm really excited to kind of report back to the photographers in my coaching program of how it's benefiting for me, how I was able to hopefully get on, multiple preferred vendor lists because of it, and how in return that's going to give me and drive me more inquiries, more business, more income generating activity. And it was really fun. Trent actually came with me. We road tripped up there, had a little date day. So it was a fun little time. And yeah, so that was fun. And then also like one more thing too, just a random thought that I've had this week, and it really kind of ties in and goes hand in hand with this topic podcast conversation today. So that's why I want to do it, is I have just seen so much negative marketing headspace in the industry right now of inquiries are low, recession talk, things just not going good and not going planned. And although some of that is true, and I'm not denying that like some of that can't be true in the world and in the industry and all of that stuff, I do feel like I see a lot of people grasp to any like negativity thing that they can to use as an excuse to replace their marketing efforts. Like, and I don't mean that, I kind of mean that as like a little like slap in the face a little bit, like with some tough love, I guess, because it's really easy to just say, oh yeah, well, everyone's got low inquiries. I'm just seeing it everywhere. Like everyone's just saying that. And instead of kind of taking a little bit of like responsibility in your marketing efforts, they're just kind of clinging to the fact that, oh, well, everyone's low. It's an industry standards. Like, although like maybe that is true, there's a lot of people that's not happening to, or like maybe it's not happening to as much, or they're not feeling the effects as much because they're going out of their way to create different marketing, like brand new marketing and lead gen and getting creative. Because I feel like especially in the digital space and in this type of industry and world, like I don't know, I have seen it every few years where it's like, oh yeah, this strategy that worked really well, every few years it's like not working as much anymore. You gotta reevaluate. You gotta redo it. And I almost just feel like that's just where we're at right now. That we just need like a revamp and a refresh of getting creative and seeing what you can do to change and make that happen, instead of clinging to the thought of, oh yeah, well, inquiries are low, everyone's seeing it, it's just the norm. Like, I just challenge you to step out of that headspace and not cling to that thought, and see what you can do to get creative and shake things up a little bit. So that was just kind of my random thought of this week. This has kind of been on my mind. But anyways, let's dive into kind of the topic of the conversation today, which is I asked everyone on my Instagram your favorite thing about being a photographer. I feel like we as an industry, like as a community here, we need this refresher. We need this like positive little oomph to us. And it was so funny because I actually categorized everyone's responses into 4 segments, because every single response I got like fell into one of these 4. So it was crazy, because if you think about it, we really have solid core foundations to like why we do what we do. And likely it falls into one of these 4. Could be all 4 for you. One could be more than the other. But the 4 are: segment A, I put, is the people. Segment B, the art. Segment C, the legacy. And segment D, the freedom and lifestyle. Every single answer fell into one of those. So let's go back to segment A, which is the people. This was by far, out of the water, the top one. Some responses were the people. Having repeat families, meeting new people and reconnecting with old friends through sessions. The smiles, I love making people feel sincerely happy. Smiling when everyone else is smiling. It's so contagious. And that's kind of my hopes in this episode is happiness and positivity and smiling. All of those things are so contagious. Like, positivity is so contagious, but also so is negativity. And I do feel there's just a lot of that circulating in the industry right now, which is why I want to just push that aside. And I want to bring light back to the heart and the reasoning and the foundation of why you started to be a photographer, why you're doing this in the first place. Because that, when you can go back to your core foundation and the true meaning of why you're doing what you're doing, that is also very contagious. So that is my hope for this episode today as well. Also, getting to meet people new, or like getting to meet so many new people and bring light to those around me. Honestly, the amount of people and friendships and connections I've made in the industry over the years is crazy. The places I've been able to go because of it. And I'm not just me, you probably are thinking the same. Like, the opportunity and connections that have come from it, from meeting the people, are wild, are crazy. And you never know what one connection and relationship could lead to. So it's like, someone you meet in photography it could turn into something completely different in the future. And opportunities could just open. I've had a ton of those situations happen where it's like, oh, this happened to me because I knew this person, or this person was at a wedding that I photographed, so she asked me to photograph this one. Or I have a best friend and her brother is getting married in Greece. And so I got to go do a Santorini elopement because my best friend's brother was getting married. Like, it's all about who you know. I'm a big believer in that. And so the people are really important in this. More are just watching a family grow. That is so sweet and the best thing ever to see your clients like grow and evolve over time into just different milestones in life. It's really cool. Making people feel confident and good. Like, how cool is that, you guys? Like, that we get to those comments of people saying like, is that really us? Or a lot of people use these photos in their houses, on their social medias, they post it. Like, how cool is that we get to make people feel good? Like, that is so cool. Being able to document people the way the world sees them, that's pretty cool, because I feel like we can all agree that we are hard on ourselves and see ourselves in a different way, and just to document people in a light that maybe they don't realize certain things or moments they don't realize. That's just, that's so cool to me. I'm sure you listening, you can agree with me. It's pretty cool. Being a hype girl. Basically, that's exactly what we're doing here. The friendships I've made in the industry. Yes, we've talked about that. Helping people create themselves and showing people how beautiful they are, or helping people celebrate themselves and showing people how beautiful they are. That's such a gift, just to be able to serve people and just help them be confident in who they are. If we could just be a sliver of a light or a step towards that direction, that's enough for me, honestly. People, they are my jam. I love making them feel comfy and cared for. Yeah, there's nothing better than serving. When you have a heart to serve, you serve, and it feels so good. Literally invited to people's best day ever on a regular basis. Like, you will always remember special milestones in your day. If you've already been married before, you don't forget your wedding day. And you also don't forget, I don't know, for me, like, you don't forget your photographer because they're part of it. And you don't forget certain things. And then you have photos to remember it too. So it's like the privilege we have to be invited into these into people's special moments and these special milestones and memories. That's a huge responsibility. And so I do feel like anything that's negative that could be tied to that, needs to go because that is such an honor, and that's something that we need to remember too. The love we get to witness and the happiness we get to be a part of. We are really so lucky. I thought that was a really good one to end on for the people, because ultimately, tied up in a bow, we are so lucky that we are blessed to be able to do this, that we were given this gift of creativity and serving and being able to see things that other people can't. I think as photographers, we are so close to that zone of genius for us. Our eye, we're like, oh yeah, well, that's just a standard photo of this. When in reality, it's not. No one else sees it maybe the way you do. And we get to creatively bring that vision to life and be able to get to serve people through it. And ultimately, just serve people with things and memories that they wouldn't have. And we are so lucky. So I think that's something that we really just need to remember and center ourselves with, because that is the ultimate thing. We're blessed and lucky with that. Okay, segment B, moving on, is the art. I will say this one and the next one were tied neck and neck for third and fourth place of being the lowest ranked. Not saying it's not important, but I do think that these two could kind of be combined with the response that I got. So segment B is the art, which we've talked about this before when I've had Eden Strader on the podcast before, and we were talking about you either get into the industry for the art or for the people, and there's no right or wrong. A lot of people could hear that question and be like, oh yeah, I got into it for the art. Or you could say, oh yeah, I for sure got it into the people. Me personally, I got into it for the people. I don't look at myself and think, oh, I'm a really creative photographer. I'm a creative. I do this for my art, and I do this for my art, the art of it. I do not think that at all. I am not that creative of a photographer. I don't think, not to bash on myself, I just don't think I'm super creative. I love people, and I love moments, and I love memories, and I love joyful moments and stuff. And so that's kind of what I cling on to. But if you're someone who really got into it for the art, love that for you. I admire you for that. So create some answers were creating art through my job, having that holy crap moment. I created that moment, which is kind of cool to say, like, you helped bring that specific thing to light. I know sometimes it depends on your photography approach. If you are more of like a documentary approach photographer, or if you are someone who likes to pose and prompt, and then you could say, oh yeah, like I helped that moment come together and be created. That's pretty cool. Creating with new people. So it's kind of that people and coming together to create together. That's something that I actually really resonate with, because even at the styled shoot that I just shot at last weekend, it was real. And I tell this to anyone, if I'm shooting with a videographer on the day, or I'm shooting with other vendors involved around, I feel like as photographers, we tend to have to be the one to take the lead in like posing and directing people. But I have no problem doing that. I will be the one to take control if I need to. But then I also like to say, I love teamwork. Like if you have something, like go at it. Like let's create together. It's not just me, especially as the videographer. I'm like, did you get your shot? Like I want to make sure you got your shot. Like we're a team here. Let's create together. And if you have an idea, I would love to hear it, because then it's going to help me creatively too. Like creatively. I don't know why I can never say that word. I always say it creatively. You know what I'm saying? So I love that. And so that kind of combines like creativity and the people. And then the last one is the creativity. Bonus points for every time I say that word. So that's pretty cool. The art of it, the art side is also really cool. And then the segment C, like we talked about, is kind of tied, is the legacy. And that is pretty cool. That kind of goes into serving, in my eyes, serving and gifting people with that legacy. That's documenting for them. So some answers were morbid, I know, but people are so appreciative of the photos they would have never had otherwise. And I don't know about you guys, but there's been a lot of times that the photos that I have photographed of people at weddings were like their last photos taken, or their last professional photos, or they were photos that were just moments and photos that were really, really cherished. And when you photograph weddings, specifically because I photograph weddings, that is a time that you're getting a lot of your loved ones together and gathering together. And that doesn't happen that often, especially as bigger groups like that. So when that does happen, yeah, there's going to be a lot of moments that would never happen otherwise. So being able to create, like to capture those and have that legacy for people is really cool. And then another one is capturing moments they may have missed otherwise. Exactly the same thing. Capturing moments for people that will be so cherished when their loved ones inevitably pass. So honestly, like all these answers are like the same thing. Photography has brought me so many memories and life stories over the years. And yeah, like the experiences and all of that. And it is just that legacy that you are just kind of not, it's not about you, and you're not creating that. You're just the mode in which you're bringing it to life. You know, these photos aren't for you as the photographer. If you're a wedding photographer, you know, obviously different if you're a different type of photographer. But as a wedding photographer, just because that's mostly what I do, it's not about you. These photos are not for you. These memories are not for you. You're not creating for them in a sense, I guess, as much as you are documenting for them, you know? So having that in mind when you have that approach, especially when you're thinking about their legacy, is, I think, really important. Okay, last but not least, this was the second highest segment, and this was the freedom and the lifestyle of just people's favorite thing about being a photographer. And I gotta say, this was one thing, obviously, that I really loved and really wanted to, like, have when I first became a photographer, and then all the other stuff really came with it as a bonus. But just the some answers are the flexibility with motherhood, unmatched, like absolutely unmatched. Trent has a job that he goes to, and say one of the kids are sick, I am the first, like, I am the one that's like, I'll go home. Like, I'll go home with the kids. Like, I'll be with the kids just because I have that flexibility depending on what I have that day. I don't like to cancel on like scheduled coaching calls and all of that stuff podcasts if I have them. But most people do understand when you're running a business and also a parent and you have those things to do. Most people are understanding because family does come first to me, always. And there's always a way around it. Things can always be rescheduled. Most people are flexible and understanding. So I just think having that is so cool. Another person said being able to baby wear at shoots. Literally can't think of another job I could do it. This actually reminds me, I have a story. I had to do this once, and it was for a senior shoot, and I don't do senior shoots often, but it was for the daughter of one of my 7th grade teachers. And I just remember going to the session. I'm like, I have to bring Hazel. Hazel was a baby. I have to bring her. Is it okay if I wear her in the carrier during the shoot? And I just thought, you have to feel so comfortable with your clients and confident in your ability. Just be like, I didn't care. Like, I knew she'd understand. I knew she'd loved it. Actually, I think she ended up holding Hazel most of the time anyways, because she was so excited that I brought her. And so just the cool part of having that freedom and flexibility and having clients who understand and love that for you and just are open and embrace that with you, that's so cool. I think any job, that's such a blessing when that can happen. But that's so cool of our job, that we have that option. Another person says getting to run around to beautiful new places with a camera. I cannot tell you how much I traveled prior to kids. And I love travel. I still love traveling. But like right now, I feel like this year, for some reason, my kids are 2 and 4. And I have a pull of just, I kind of want to stay home right now for some reason. But I love traveling. And the places that photography has brought me is absolutely wild. Like, absolutely wild. Never in a million years what I thought. And places that I've been able to bring my parents and bring my mom along and bring Trent and the kids along and just make it fun travel memories for not only myself, but my family too. Like, that is, such a blessing, such a cool thing that this industry and this job has for us. Another person says, my internal laughter when friends complain about their office jobs, which I can totally relate to because I am just Enneagram 7, I just could never even fathom thinking about going back to an office job. It was just so not me. And so, just the option to create our own schedules, create and decide when we want to do sessions, where we want to do them, how much work we want to take on. It's so cool. Like, think of another job that you can just decide how much you want to work. Like, because in my opinion, right now, I think a lot of people are saying, oh, I want more because I'm not getting enough, But really, ultimately, I will say it, again, a little tough love, how much you work really is up to you. Like, if you want more work, if you want more clients, if you want more bookings, that's up to you. You can make it happen. Absolutely. You can make it happen. I fully believe that's up to you. And so people, if you're thinking like, oh, I want more bookings or, I want to book more clients and I want more of these things, that's up to you. That is up to you, girl. You can do it if you want. I'm a firm believer in that. Another person said being my own boss and being able to raise my kids, that is so important. And then also just creating my own schedule. Every day looks different. That's the last one. And I think that is, I'm someone who I don't like routine. I like having a routine because my days look different and having a rough routine. But when I worked my office job in the medical field before this, it was same thing every day to the dot. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to get up and walk around at 10:05. And then I'm just going to try to kill time and walk here. And I'm going to go to the bathroom at this time because that'll kill me an extra 5 minutes. And just I don't know, having that structure was, I don't know, I didn't like it. So just being able to have every day look different, but creating structure if you need it and want it, that's so cool. So I think ultimately, I just wanted to do this episode to just encourage you to reground yourself with your why and in your reasoning and in your foundation of why you started this, why you became a photographer. I want you to just sit and think for a second of what are 3 of the most positive things that you love about your job right now. Like, what is so great to you and why did you get into this? And I promise you that's going to reground you. Listening to this probably did too. And I also just want to remind you too, if you're in a season that you have forgotten about how meaningful this job really is, I hope this episode reminded you. And I hope it encouraged you and gave you like that little positive like beam of light of, yes, I love my job. I can push all of this negative industry talk and conversation aside. I don't have to listen to every trend and hot take and unpopular opinion, and I don't have to create content that bashes my clients, and I don't have to fall into like the victim mentality of that inquiries are just low and I can't book anything because there's a recession. Again, some of these things have truth to a certain extent, but a lot of it kind of falls into your hands too of what you're doing. And yeah, I just want to like remind you too, like what we do is pretty freaking cool. And I think that you should remember that and wear that with a badge of honor because it is such a privilege for what we do. We have the coolest job in the world. I don't ever want you to forget it. And I hope just listening to other people's favorite thing about being a photographer in this episode kind of sparked, your original reason why you did, or it's bringing you a little extra joy today in recentering you a little bit. That's my hope for this episode. I really hope you loved it. And if you did, make sure to screenshot and share it to your stories. Tell me your favorite thing about being a photographer. I'd love to just continue sharing the joy and spreading the positivity. That's all about what I do around here. Like there's already too much negative talk in the world, on social media, in the media, all of those things. We don't need to add to that noise. We need to just be positive around here. So that's totally my intention with this podcast and with my brand and my platform and this space. So I would love to hear anything positive you have, or if you just want to share it because you loved it, I would love that. But thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I appreciate you so, so much. And as always, keep shining and we'll see you next time.